Have you caught yourself forgetting the small things more often lately? Brushing it off with a smile, telling yourself, that's just what happens when you get older? What we don't always realize is that those little slips can sometimes be the very first signs of a door quietly closing in the mind. A few weeks ago, I witnessed something I can't shake. My old friend, Mr. Walter Jennings, 89 years old, a man the folks in Springfield used to admire, saying, "If I could age like him, I'd be lucky." He walked every morning, kept up with his checkers game at the community center, and never forgot the birthdays of his grandchildren. And then, one afternoon, right there in his own living room, he looked at his son and asked, "I'm sorry, who are you?" He stood frozen, lost in a place he should have known better than anywhere, his eyes wide with fear and confusion. He even had an accident with his trousers, and the helplessness in that moment still lingers with me. That's how the mind can be no warning, no gentle introduction, just gone when you least expect it. That day, I learned something all over again. Age is only a number, but a mind unprepared can leave us behind far sooner than our years. And yet there is hope. After decades with thousands of patients, and in my own life, I've discovered certain habits that matter more than medicine or machines. Not some overpriced remedy, but 5 simple practices that anyone can begin today. My name is Dr. Charles Whitaker. I turned 83 this year, and these same 5 habits are what allow me to keep looking my patients in the eye, to remember each face, and to hold on to my own days with clarity. Your mind, too, can wake up again. And the best time to start is now. Not tomorrow, not when it's convenient. Now. That's the fastest beginning you'll ever get. The first secret may sound a little unusual at first. Your brain, just like your muscles, needs to move every single day. Patients often ask me, "Dr. Whitaker, how do you still speak so clearly at 83? I usually smile and tell them, because every morning I put my brain through its calisthenics. You know how our bodies stiffen if we stop moving? The brain does the very same thing when left unstimulated, except it happens quietly, almost without notice. In fact, one study found that older adults who spent their days watching television had 3 times the risk of dementia compared to those who kept busy with puzzles or books. So even now, somewhere out there, a brain may be slowly falling asleep in front of a glowing screen. As for me, I start my mornings with the newspaper, working through a word search puzzle. My eyes may be dimmer than they once were, and sometimes the words slip just out of reach. But I treasure that time. Twice a week, I join neighbors for a kind of brain Olympics, a few rounds of checkers or chess, with laughter and teasing tossed in. For my mind, it's better than any medicine. One friend of mine, Mrs. Eleanor Brooks, 82 years old, was diagnosed with early memory loss 6 years ago. Yet every day since, she's kept up with a crossword and a game of chess. She still smiles and tells me, "It clears my head." And I believe her. Puzzles, jigsaws, card games, they light up different corners of the brain all at once. These days, there are even brain training apps you can download. If the technology feels overwhelming, just ask a grandchild, they'll set it up in minutes. But here's my advice, keep it under 20 minutes. The brain will enjoy it, but your eyes will protest if you overdo it. And learning something new well, that's one of the strongest sparks you can give your mind. At 80, I decided to study Spanish again, 5 words a day. At first, it was torture just to recall them. But little by little, I've worked up to reading a bit of the news. It doesn't have to be a language, of course. It could be music, painting, knitting, any new craft or hobby. The moment you begin, your brain starts weaving new connections. And those connections may be the best shield you'll ever have against dementia. The second secret is something so simple we tend to dismiss it: walking. Everybody knows it, but not everybody believes in its power. I can tell you with confidence 30 minutes of walking a day can sharpen memory and cut the risk of dementia almost in half. In fact, A Harvard study followed 3,500 adults over 65 for 7 years. Those who walked at least 3 times a week had 47% lower rates of dementia than those who didn't. For years now, I've walked a loop around the park every morning at 7. Last year, when knee pain forced me to stop for just 2 weeks, I noticed myself fumbling with patients' names, something that had never happened before. Only when I started walking again did the fog lift. That experience showed me, head to toe, just how powerful walking can be. It isn't just exercise, it's circulation for the brain, delivering oxygen and nourishment where it's needed most. The hippocampus, the part of the brain that manages memory, tends to shrink as we age, but studies show steady walking can actually make it grow again. No pills, no machines. Just start with 5 minutes. Before long, your body will nudge you forward, asking for more. If you can walk in a park or along a river path, even better, your mind will feel the calm immediately. One of my patients, Mr. Harold Thompson, 75 years old, was shaken by an early dementia diagnosis. He began walking 30 minutes every day. Within 6 months, his cognitive scores improved, and his need for medication dropped. Walking is simple, yes, but it carries the power to change a life. And right now, your brain is waiting for you to take that first step. The third secret might surprise you, but it plays a decisive role in keeping the brain alive and well. It's the time we spend connected with other people. When we think of brain exercise, we often picture workbooks or puzzles, but the most powerful workout of all is a conversation. Studies show that older adults who spend their days in silence without real exchanges have a 64% higher risk of dementia. The reason is simple: listening, understanding, shaping your own thoughts into words, all of that engages wide regions of the brain at once. One study even found that older adults living with a spouse had a 40% lower risk of dementia than those living alone. In my own life, I make sure to meet friends 3 times a week for coffee. We share small stories, sometimes take a walk together, laugh, and let even the silliest jokes do their work on the brain. One patient of mine, Mrs. Margaret Lewis, had been living alone. Over time, her words grew fewer, her face dimmer. I encouraged her to join the community choir, and something remarkable happened. She made new friends, practiced songs, and told me with a smile, "The lyrics come back so easily now, and I remember everyone's names." If you live alone, I urge you to look into senior centers or local programs. The first step might feel awkward, but once you laugh, the ice breaks and your brain will light up. Volunteering is another wonderful way. Research shows seniors who give their time not only feel less lonely, but also score better in cognition. Personally, I have a standing date every week, a video call with my grandchildren. They tell me about school, sing snippets of the songs that are popular now, and in those moments, I feel tied to the world again. Even a short call stirs the mind. If technology feels daunting, just ask a grandchild to set it up. Staying connected isn't difficult, and that connection may be the warmest shield your brain will ever have. The fourth secret is something we encounter every single day, and yet it slips past us so easily: what we eat. The brain is built from the food we put into our bodies, and the choices we make at the table can shape the very fate of our memory. Heavy, greasy meals, sugary snacks, fried and processed foods, they may taste comforting in the moment, but they slowly poison brain cells over time. One study found that older adults who relied on processed foods every day had 3 times the risk of dementia compared to those who didn't. On the other hand, fresh vegetables, fruits, fish, and nuts are the brain's best medicine. Diets rich in olive oil, salmon or mackerel, blueberries, and walnuts, the so-called Mediterranean way of eating, have been shown to cut the risk of dementia by more than half. I made this change myself in my early 80s, when I noticed my memory beginning to blur. I started with a handful of blueberries and a few walnuts every morning, and fish at least twice a week. Within 3 months, colleagues of mine were telling me, "You seem sharper than before." And I felt it too. The real key, though, isn't some pricey supplement. It's simply the habit of eating less. I've made it a practice to stop when I'm about 70 or 80% full. Interestingly, some of the longest-living communities in the world, such as in Okinawa, have long held to this very principle, never filling the stomach completely. And don't forget water. 3/4 of the brain is made of it, and sipping 6 to 8 glasses spread through the day keeps memory and focus steady. None of this requires a prescription or a machine, only the quiet discipline of small, daily choices. Try beginning tonight at your own dinner table. That one small shift may be the surest first step to protecting your memory for the years ahead. The fifth and final secret may sound unexpected gratitude. It might seem like just a pleasant attitude, but science shows it has a powerful effect on the brain. Research has found that older adults who dwell on negative thoughts have a 40% higher risk of dementia, while a 7-year study showed that those with a more optimistic outlook had 38% lower risk. Every night before I sleep, I think of 3 things I'm grateful for. A warm bowl of soup in the morning, the smile of a neighbor on my walk, a phone call from a grandchild. Small things, really, but each leaves a gentle warmth in the brain. When gratitude rises, the brain releases chemicals that strengthen memory and focus. It's not just about feeling good, it's about keeping the mind healthy. One of my patients, Mr. Frank Miller, 68 years old, fell into deep sorrow after losing his wife. I suggested he try keeping a gratitude journal. 3 months later, he told me with a smile, "I can easily write down 5 things each day now." And not only did his mood brighten, but his memory scores improved as well. Gratitude is not something we're born with, it's a habit, practiced a little each day. At first it may feel awkward or forced, but in time, the brain begins to respond naturally. Before bed tonight, try recalling just one warm moment from your day. That memory can plant a seed for tomorrow's brain health. And don't overlook the power of old memories. Looking through family photographs or reminiscing about a past trip can revive joy and bring the brain back to life. In the end, gratitude is the gentlest yet strongest secret we have for keeping our minds alive and bright for years to come. We've now walked through the 5 habits that help protect memory food for the brain: the daily walk, staying connected with people, steady stimulation, and the practice of gratitude. These aren't just health tips pulled from a list, they're ways of living, tested through decades of patience and my own life. And when you add in steady sleep, keeping blood pressure and blood sugar in check, a few necessary supplements, and the simple act of planning your day, brain health changes in a very real way. The beauty is that these habits feed into one another. Walking eases stress and helps sleep. Laughter and conversation bring energy to the brain. One small change has a way of opening the door to another. That's why I always say, start small. Don't try to be perfect on day 1. Even 5 minutes of walking can be enough. Someday, that 5 minutes might turn out to be the most treasured time of your day. And if you can, walk with a friend. There's power in the rhythm of footsteps and in the words you share along the way. Remember this too, knowledge that isn't lived out does nothing for you. The fact that you've listened all the way to the end means you've already taken your first step. Tonight, put a handful of blueberries on the table. Step outside for a short walk. Pick up the phone and call an old friend. It doesn't matter which one you choose. What matters is that you do it now, not later. This moment can be the very first line of a new chapter in your life. And if this message has spoken to you, pass it along to someone else who worries about their memory. Your small act may become their great hope for tomorrow. That warm connection can change a life. And with all my heart, I wish you clear days and a peaceful mind ahead.